that so many people have actually accepted the session. It's an absolute privilege for us to have Americo join us today. So maybe just a brief introduction to Americo. So he is the founder and chair of the PMO Global Alliance. And for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, it's the world's largest community of PMOs and PMO professionals. So he has more than 25 years of international experience in PMOs, strategy, project manager, working in various roles, ranging from practitioner, consultant, professor, researcher, speaker, author, you name it. So Americo is a very well-known figure for us in the PMO community, a big advocate for the value that PMOs can add to organizations. And as you can see, Americo has also previously received the PMI Distinguished Contribution Award. He's also currently a PhD candidate at the School of Business in France. So the session for today is focused on what makes a world-class PMO. And this is in fact also the title of a book that Americo will be publishing this year. I think, Americo, you said in October, more or less.
In fact, it will be in November, at the end of November.
At the end of November. Yeah. So definitely something I've put on my list of books that I want to buy before the end of the year. So Americo, a very big warm welcome from all of us. And we look forward to your presentation today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to participate with you today. So I'm Americo. I live in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, right? And it's a really great pleasure to have a chance to discuss some interesting ideas on PMOs with you today. I've been observing, you know, the work that you have been done especially in South Africa in the last years, because one of our projects at PMO Global Alliance is the PMO Global Awards, and this is the largest awards for PMOs in the world. And every year we have a very exciting competition, and this competition is organized by region. We have the African region, and South Africa was the winner of African region in 4 of our 5 editions. So this year, Capitec Bank, by the way, I see that there is an Adrian in our audience today. I don't know if this Adrian, is it? Okay, so congratulations, Adrian. Adrian is the PMO leader of Capitec Bank, the winner of the Africa region and one of the world winners. So in a couple of weeks, we will know which company is the world PMO of the year. So we have Capitec Bank from South Africa. We have a company from Greece representing Europe. We have a company from Indonesia representing Asia Pacific, and the last one, a healthcare company from Puerto Rico representing the Americas. So good luck, Adrian, and South Africa. Right. All right. So guys, let's start. We have some time to discuss all these topics, and feel free anytime to ask your questions, right? We don't need to wait for the end. You know, I'm Brazilian. I think you know that Brazilians are very informal, right? So don't be right. Don't be shy, and feel free to to participate anytime if you have questions. If you would like to share some ideas or experience, you will be very, very welcome. All right. So what I'm going to do today is share with you some, I could say, initial insights from a very interesting research project that is grounded a book that will be published still this year. This book is written by me and also Jack Dugal. I don't know if you know him. He is an American consultant, very nice person. He is the author of very interesting books. One of them is the DNA of strategy. So he's very inspiring. And we are working on this book, which has the objective of identifying what the most successful PMOs in the world have in common, right? Because that's a very interesting challenge, because we see many successful experiences around the world. However, they are very different, in many ways. So which one should be the one that we should try to, to benchmark? I could say that, right? That's exactly the question, and when we see many PMOs very different, providing good results, the question is, okay, but what make them successful? Is it possible to identify these factors, and I don't know, that's exactly the point. And sometimes we believe that this success is due to technical aspects. And when we started our investigation, we realized that most of the success, it looks like it's not due to technical factors, but something different. And that's what I'm going to tell you. At this book, we are interviewing 80 experienced leaders from very different PMOs, from many different places. Most of them, they participated at the PMO Global Awards. As I told you, it's one of the projects of PMO Global Alliance. PMO Global Alliance is the largest community of PMOs and PMO professionals in the world. And we have this great project, the PMO Global Awards. And we are selecting some of these people and talking to them to understand, what are the factors, what the factors that led them to the success. That's the idea, right? I'm sorry, I'm not really 100% today because I have an allergic asthma, and because I'm allergic to cats. But I have 4 cats. But my love for my cats is bigger than my concern with myself. If you have cats, you understand what I'm saying. So because of that, from time to time, I'm not really good. Every 2-3 months, and today is the day, right? So I'm sorry. Okay, so let's start. What makes a world-class PMO? I'd like to invite you now to experience the same journey that we had when we start to think about all these ideas. Okay, the first point, the starting point, is a very obvious question, right? And our obvious question is, what is a PMO? It looks easy to be responded, right? If I ask you, some of you, I'm sure that you have an answer, a good answer to tell me. Maybe one of you will say, okay, a PMO is a department that will provide methodologies, tools, standards. Very good. Someone will say, no, Americo, a PMO is that area that will support the organization to make the strategy happen. So the portfolio, selecting the portfolio, prioritization, monitoring results, benefits, very good. Another person maybe will say, Americo, actually, PMO for me is that area that will provide project managers to the business areas, right? Because our project managers, they are in the PMO. They are part of the team of the PMO. Okay, we see that so much. So what I'm saying is, it's very common that different people have different perspectives about what a PMO is. And the big question is, okay, which one, who is correct, right? Which model, which approach is the best one? And that's exactly how I would like to start our discussion today. Because when we talk about project management, program management, portfolio management, it's not so difficult to find a consensus about how is the best way to manage projects, for example. That's why we have standards like the PMO, right? PMI, PMO. We have many people, they are together discussing their experiences, and at the end of the day, they have a consensus about how would be the best way of creating a budget or of managing risks or stakeholders. Okay. However, when we talk about PMOs, it's not like that, because we have many people with many different experiences and points of view, perspectives. And it's really difficult to find a consensus because their point of view are 100% different sometimes. And are they lying in terms of good results? No, no. Actually, what they are saying makes sense. However, they are totally different perspectives. So why does it happen? That's the question. So the PMO is like an elephant, and I'm going to tell you a tale right now. When I say that the PMO is an elephant, it's not because it should be big, you know, and slow and fat. That's not the idea. It's just because the tale that I want to tell you is like this. There was a guru, right? And this guru has had a lot of followers, right? And one day, the guru called his followers and said, hey, guys, I will blindfold you, right? So you can't see anything. I will put you around an animal. You don't know which animal is that. And I will ask you to touch the animal in front of you. I want that you tell me which animal is that. Right. And that's what happened. So the followers were around the elephant, they touched the elephant, and at the end, they start to say which animal was that. And the first one was close to the trunk and said, it looks like, I don't know, a big snake. The second one was close to the ear and said, I don't know, maybe a fish, you know, it's something very soft. The last one was close to the tail and said that it looks like a worm, right? So the question is, who was right? You could say no one, because in fact it was an elephant. But if we analyze the situation a little more, we will say that if we consider each one's perspective, in a certain way, they were right? Because of their perspective, because of their point of view. And that's exactly what happens with PMOs. There are many PMOs, and what they have in common maybe is the name, PMO. Sometimes not even the name, because sometimes the only thing that they have in common is the fact that they centralize some functions that are related to project management, program management, portfolio management, but which functions they are centralizing or how they are doing that or why they are doing that, it depends from company to company. And that's why PMOs are so different. And look, they should be different. They must be different, actually, because each one will be fulfilling different expectations and different needs. So this is the first point that we realized in the last 7 years when we started all this research project, that when we talk about PMO standards at PMO Global Alliance, our members that understand all these things that we are discussing here, we agree that PMO standards don't make sense, right? And why? Because, okay, there is a standard for project management, there is a standard for portfolio management, because we can have a consensus about what works and what doesn't work. However, when we talk about PMOs, there is no consensus. There are many points of views. So standards can be useful to inspire us, but every standard or every book or every model about PMOs, they are only one perspective, depending on where you are around the elephant. So that's why they were written by consultants, by experts, and they are great. It's a valuable material, but it depends on how to use them. If you use them because you believe that's the way, possibly there is a problem. Let me give you an example that is is the way that we structure everything that I'm going to show you from now on. Imagine that today we have here a big group of people, right? And all of you have a great experience on losing weight, okay? This is the conference of people that lost 30 kilos, right, in the last 2 years. So you are very, very experienced, all right? Good. So what I'm saying is each one of you had a specific experience, right? And now here I'm the host of this meeting, and I'm going to ask you, please, how many of you can raise your hands? You could raise, you don't need to do that, of course, but please raise your hand if you believe that the best way to lose weight is closing, your mouth. Stop eating a lot. Possibly many of you will say, yes, that's how I did that. Okay. Second question. Raise your hand if you believe that the best way of losing weight is, workout. You can try to exercise yourself. Possibly many of you will say, yes, that's the way. Okay. And I can ask you maybe more one or two options, but the last one is, how many of you believe that the best way of losing weight is playing guitar? And there is only one person, my friend Adrian, right? Adrian said, it's me, Americo. I believe in that. Actually, I lost 40 kilos, right? Just playing guitar. Every day, I played guitar for 4 hours, right? And after 6 months, I lost 50 kilos. Wow, very good. Look, do you believe that he's lying? No, he's not lying. Actually, he really lost 40 kilos playing guitar. But he's the only one, right? He's the only one. It made sense for him. But look, if I decide to read Adrian's book, or if I decide to go to Adrian's session in a very big conference, or if I decide to visit Adrian to benchmark, possibly I will believe that is the best way of losing weight. But it's maybe 1 million or more, you know what I mean? So that's what happens with PMOs. When you want to benchmark about project management, that's something quite easy to be done, because you can see what someone is doing. There is results. So you can say there are results. You can say, okay, I'm going to do something very similar. But when I see that Adrian lost 40 kilos just playing guitar, and I try to benchmark and repeat what he did, it didn't work. And why? Because it's exactly like a PMO. It depends on many other variables. The environment you are, the level of experience, the culture, the maturity. There are many aspects. So what I'm saying is, Adrian is not lying. His experience is valuable, but it's valuable to inspire me on creating my own solution. So I have to know many different possibilities. I have to read many books. I have to know different models. I have to benchmark with different companies. I don't need to take one and believe that's the solution. That's the point, right? That's the initial point. And this is very, very important, because one thing that we found in most of the PMOs we analyzed is that they don't do what people usually do when they are working with PMOs. There are many companies, great companies, that what they do when they decide to have a PMO is decide which type of PMO they want. Okay? And there are many of them. For example, possibly you already seen some of them, Project Support Office, Center of Excellence, Strategic Management Office, Agile PMO, VMO, Value Management Office. This is a very fancy one right now. So from time to time, a new model arise, right? Many other will come. Possibly, I don't know, in the next years, we will have the metaverse PMO or something like that. All these models, they are proposed usually by authors. As I said, consultants, experts. And again, I'm not saying that they are wrong. I'm saying that they are presenting their perspective, their point of view, how they lost weight, right? So if you take some of the most important books on PMOs, for example, I have them here in my library, you will see that each one propose something different. There are authors that say that there are 3 models, 4 models, 5 models, 4 types, subtypes. We also have different names, totally different names. So if we suppose that there is the ideal model, ideal type, it means that there is one correct and all other guys are wrong. I don't know, they are lying or they are crazy. It doesn't make any sense. All of them are really outstanding. So the point is, all of them are right in some way because they have different perspectives around the elephant. The problem is when you believe that these boxes, each model is a kind of box. You believe that you have to take one box and go home and open the box and use everything that you will find at that box. That's the problem. Because when you do that, you are just ignoring all other perspectives. And are you sure that the perspective that let the author create that box is exactly the one that you also have? No, you are not sure about that, right? It would be a coincidence, to be very honest. So the point is, when we try to do that, it's like if we were at a supermarket, there are many options on the shelves, and you say, okay, what is the ideal type for me? It doesn't work like that. That's the problem. Let me give you a better understanding of that. Look, let's take some boxes, okay? I'm going to take 3 boxes. The directive PMO, controlling PMO, and supportive PMO. You can find these 3 boxes as a suggestion at the PMBOK, right? You will find them. So you can see that when we open these boxes, we find this description, right? So a directive PMO should exert a lot of control. A controlling PMO create documentation methodologies. A supportive PMO have a little control and their role is primarily advisory. Okay, so if you are supposed to take one of these boxes, you are supposed to follow what you will find into these boxes, right? And that's what I'm telling you. We don't need to do that. We can open all of them, and maybe you will take an item from the directive PMO, another one from controlling PMO, another one from supportive PMO, or any other model that you find that can make sense to you. So instead of trying to find magic pills and make them fit to your needs, we'll try something different. Because what many good companies try to do is they take one of the boxes. The box is the blue cube. and they say, okay, now it should fit to my company, and your company is the green and red box. And that's the point. And it doesn't work. People can't see value, and there is a lot of resistance. They feel that there is bureaucracy and many other problems. And why? Because you are pushing too much. You are trying to make it fit. And that's crazy, because there is a very popular saying in project management field that is, one size doesn't fit all. We say that all the time for project management, right? But when we talk about PMOs, it looks like many people forget that. They say, no, the great PMO now is the value management office. So let me take this box, open the box, and I will find portfolio management, realization management, and many other things, and I will say, okay, that's what I need. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You will see why, right? I'm going to tell you more about that. But the point is, we need to create something that makes sense to us, so we can open all the boxes and take what we need. And this way, our PMO, at the end of the day, can be something a little weird. I understand. Like, for example, playing guitar is not something very popular, right? If you want to lose weight. But that's what you need, because it makes sense to you. So what I'm saying is, maybe your PMO will not be a VMO, but will be a panda penguin PMO, because you took the head from one box, the body from another box, and that's what you need. What is the name or the type of this PMO? I have no idea, but it delivers what we need, because it's a little strategic, it's a little tactical, it's a little operational, and we are covering what our company really needs, not what someone has written in a book or what another company is doing, and I'm trying to copy what they are doing, right? So that's the idea behind most of the things that I'm going to show you from now on. We need to understand that it looks, and again, I don't have the right answers, right? But it looks that the most successful PMOs, they are not really concerned about following pre-established models and, oh, the next one is, as I said, the metaverse PMO. Okay, this is the fancy one now, let's take it because this is the best one from now on. It doesn't make any sense. We have to create solutions that can make sense to us, and the most important thing, can generate value. Okay, so now we have two new problems, right? The first one is value generation. I'm going to tell you more about that. And the second one is, okay, Americo, you told us what we should not do, what should not be done, right? Okay, but how can we deal with this challenge? Because, okay, we can open all the boxes, but how can we know which should be taken from, which things should be taken from each box, right? That's a big challenge, because what, depending on the decision we made, we will generate value or not, right? Okay, so before telling you what we discovered, I'm going to tell you a little more now about value, okay? Value is a concept, a very interesting concept, because when we talk about value, the first word that comes to our mind usually is money, right? Value, money. So it's like, okay, the best possibility is if we could say, okay, if I invest, for example, $1,000 in project management, it will return in the business 10 times more, or it will get me like 10% more in terms of market share. or I will increase my revenues in 15%. Imagine if we could do that, right? Is it possible in some specific situations? Of course, especially in capital projects. If you are releasing a new product, if you are opening a new branch, you can do that, right? But when we talk about project management, things are not so easy. And there were many attempts to show the value of project management. And that's something interesting. I realized that when I started my PhD program, because I needed to show the benefits of project management. And I tried to find them in many secondary sources, like books, and I presented them to my supervisor, and she said, Americo, sorry, but you can't use them. And I said, why? Because she told me, Americo, actually, they are not empirically demonstrated. And I said, oh, okay. So it means that if we read many books, we will find a lot of things that justify the value of project management. But when we go to the real world and try to show in a reliable way these connections and correlations between what you do in terms of project management and the value you generate for the business, things are not so easy like that. There is a book, let me take it. This book, this one, yes, this book. There is a book, this one, I don't know if you can see that. This book was published some years ago by PMI and two researchers from Canada, researching the value of project management. This is the most important, the largest research, empirical research on value of project management. And that's something very interesting. By the way, you can download this book at PMI website if you are a member, right, for free. And this book is really interesting because the conclusion of this book was inconclusive. And when I say that it was inconclusive, I'm not saying that there is no value. I'm saying that it was impossible to show this correlation in a reliable way, in a universal way, right? So when we talk about PMOs are not project management only, right? Project management is difficult to show the value of project management because it's not the end. It's not the business. It supports the business, right? When we talk about PMOs, the situation is worse. And why? Because PMOs are not project management. Actually, they are supporting project, program, portfolio management. So they are much far from the business. So if project management support the business, the PMOs support project management in many different ways. And of course, as a consequence, the business. So there are other attempts. For example, there is another book. I've just seen that it's here, just a moment. This one, PMO, A Quest for Understanding. You can download it at PMI website too. This book shows a lot of interesting results about the largest research with PMOs in the world, also conducted a few years ago. And again, it was inconclusive in terms of demonstrating the value of the PMOs. Again, I'm not saying that there is no value. What I'm saying is that we need a different approach. And that's what we try to do with the concepts that I'm going to show you from now on, right? Instead of thinking about value as money, we try to find a little different approach. We brought from other fields some knowledge, some concepts, fields like customer service, customer experience, marketing, psychology, and we realized that there are many people that can't recognize the value of the PMO, especially the executive level, and it's really dangerous because they pay the bill, right? So the point is, what does value mean to these people, right? Those people that should recognize the value of what you are doing as a PMO leader. And we realize that there is a different concept that we can use, and it can be very, very useful for any PMO. And this concept is what we call it perception of value. Perception of value is not money, it's not a number. Perception of value is a feeling. And you can say, Americo, a feeling? Does it make sense? Yes, yes, and let me tell you why. When I say that it's a feeling, it means that at the end of the day, it looks that what makes a PMO successful and make it survive and thrive is the fact that when you ask, for example, take your director, right? The one that paid the bill, and you say, hey, director, do you believe that the PMO is something useful, valuable for you? And he or she maybe will look to you and say, yes, yes, I think so. And if you ask a second question, okay, could you tell me why? Maybe he will say, I don't know how to explain exactly why, but I feel that it's good. I need you, right? What you are doing, help me. That's the point. And it looks like this feeling is much more important than showing numbers, because the PMO is a support area, right? Like IT, marketing, finance, accounting. But look how crazy it is. Let's suppose that your company is in the middle of a big crisis, financial crisis, right? And the president knows that she needs to cut costs, right? So today she wake up and said, okay, I found a way. I'm gonna shut down a couple of areas that we don't need really. The first one is IT. We don't need them. The second one is accounting. No, we don't need accounting. We can live without them. And also we will do that with marketing. We don't need them. All of them are support areas. They are not a business. We can live without them. It will not happen, right? It will not happen. Even if they are not able to show the value of what they are doing, they will be there. Maybe you can cut some costs, but just shut down the area because you feel that you can live without them. You will not do that. However, the PMO is also a support area. And today, the president woke up and said, okay, I need to cut costs, and I know what I'm doing, what I'm going to do. I will shut down the PMO. We can live without them. Can I ask you a question? Do you believe that it's possible? The answer is yes, and it happened a lot. From time to time, people see that, okay, the PMO is here, we don't see a lot of value, and we can live without them. And the PMO is just eliminated, shut down. Why is it different from the other support areas? Because the PMO is a support area, but its behavior is different. The behavior of a PMO is much more like a service provider. Service providers are those vendors, right, that you hire when you need something from them. You need that they can help you with something. So you say, okay, I'm going to hire you. Here is our contract. What I expect from you is this, 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 and this. Okay. After 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, if you can't see any results or you can't see the value that you were expecting, what will you what will you do? Probably you say, okay, I don't need that anymore. I'm going to terminate the contract, and possibly I will try to do that by myself. I don't know. I will find a way. I can live without them. And that's what happens with many PMOs. PMOs are support areas, it's true, but they look like service providers. Of course, they will not invoice their clients, right? But it works in a very similar way. you have customers, and these customers will be served by the PMO, and they will judge the work that you are doing. And after some time, if they can't see the value, if they can't perceive the value, they will say, okay, we can live without them. That's exactly what happened in many different situations, right? So this way, if we understand that we are service providers, we know that the most important thing in the life of a service provider is, in one word, customers, right? So what I'm saying is that you have customers. And who are your customers? For example, they could be the executive level, or maybe the functional managers, project managers, considering that most of the time, in most of the companies, according to research, less than 18% of the companies' project managers are part of the PMO. So usually project managers are people that are in the business areas and they also have the role of managing a project. So they are customers, project team members, right? There are many, many, many different people. All of them are customers of the PMO. And why? Because the PMO will serve them in some way. So what I'm saying is the first point that really looks like a very critical aspect in terms of success for many PMOs is that they understand that they are dealing with customers. So your customers are not obliged to accept you. It's the opposite. You have to fit what to make the things that you are doing fit your customers' needs, right? It's exactly the opposite approach. So let me tell you something. When we do that, how can we do that, right? The point is, we need to understand them. We need to know them, and we need to understand them. Let me give you an example. Imagine that the PMO is like a doctor, okay? And the customers are the patients, all right? So let me connect now some ideas that we discussed in the last minutes. Imagine that you have some pain, right? And you decide to go to a doctor. When you get to the doctor looked to you just after you enter in his room. He looked to you and said, hey, hello, welcome. You don't need to tell me anything, right? You don't need to tell me anything. Why? Because I have here a box, right? Can you see this closed box? At this box, you will find the best medicines in the world. So please take this box, go home, open the box, and take all these medicines, and you will be okay. How does it look for you? It's a little weird, right? Because he doesn't know what you are feeling. He doesn't know about your pains. But he told you that that box is the most fancy box for you, even without knowing you. Good. That's exactly what happens when you imagine that one of those boxes could be exactly what your PMO needs, exactly what your company needs. And why? No, because now the best thing that should be done is benefit realization management or agile, or I don't know. I'm not discussing that all these things are really good. I'm discussing if they are the priorities for you, for your pains. So the point is, I need to understand your pains before suggesting, right, or prescribing the correct medicines. All right? Good. So you could say, okay, Americo, we want to understand their pains, or we want to understand their expectations, okay? So what I could do is ask them, Yes, you're right. So I could take, for example, a menu of services or functions that a PMO could provide. For example, let me show you. This is a very quite new book. It's really heavy. Do you know this book? It's quite new. It was published in the UK. PMO Service Catalog. If you open this book, you'll find, I don't know, maybe 300 different functions that a PMO could provide. It's quite interesting, inspiring. So you could have a menu of 300 functions. For example, provide methodology, provide tools, training, mentoring, reports, and you can give it to your director and say, please, director, could you tell me what you want? Because I want to know your expectations. I want to make our PMO fit to your expectations, right? Right. But it doesn't work. And why? Because you are not speaking your customer's language. Your director will not take this menu, methodology, training, tools, and say, oh, I always dreamed of a methodology. No, they don't care. They don't care if you will provide a methodology, reports, tools. No, what they want are results, right? Remember, they want their pains healed. You are not asking about their pains. You are just providing them a list of possible medicines. They can take it at Google, right? That's not the idea. So what I'm saying is I have to speak their language. So look, they are not looking for a methodology. What they want is a best control of cost and time. They are not looking for portfolio management. What they want is a better connection between projects and the strategy. They are not looking for training. What they want is availability of people with the right competencies when they need to assign them to projects. They are not looking for mentoring. What they want is people motivated, highly motivated and prepared to lead projects. They don't want reports. What they want is reliable information at the right time when they have to make a decision. So look, I'm talking about pains, needs, right? Not about what we will do to deliver these needs. And of course, if these needs are different, the medicines will be different. So when the doctor gave me that box and I open the box and I find the best medicine for diabetes, wow, it's nice. However, what I have is a headache. Can you understand what I'm saying? So how can I see the value of what you are offering to me if what you are offering to me can't heal my actual pains? That's exactly the point. So different pains require different remedies, right? Oops, just a moment. Weird. I don't know if you can see the image, but anyway, different pains require different remedies. And the easiest path is never the solution. I have a problem here with my images. Just a moment. I will try to. Just a second.
No worries, Americo. I'm also sharing it from my side. So
just 1 second.
Don't worry, Americo. I'm also sharing the presentation on my side so that the audience
really?
can see it as well. Yeah. So don't stress. They can see it.
It's okay. It's okay now. It's okay.
Okay.
Sorry. So, yeah. Different pains require different remedies, right? So this is the idea. And the easiest path is never the solution, because we could say, okay, I'm gonna just see what Adrian is doing at Captec Bank. They are the winner of Africa region. So let me try to do the same thing because it will work. Remember, Adrian lost weight just playing guitar. Does it mean that if you try to play guitar also, you will lose the same, amount of weight? Possibly not. And why? Because you are in different situations, in different companies, with different levels of support, with different maturities, different culture. So you can be inspired by him. But possibly, if you try to copy and paste, it will not work. You have to create a proper solution, a solution that can make sense for your organization. That's the idea, right? And there is something very, very important that I would like to share with you, because we saw that in a very strong way in many companies. Look, the next slide says that you should consider the maturity of your customers. Look, we usually talk a lot about organizational maturity or even PMO maturity. But look that when we talk about these ideas of maturity, we are talking about, like, we are considering organizational elements. So it's the company's maturity, it's the PMO maturity. But we know that companies and PMOs, they are made by people, right? And in fact, the maturity of these elements is a kind of consolidation of maturity of the people that compose them. Let me tell you more about that. I'm going to give you an example. For many years, before founding PMO GA, PMO Global Alliance, and starting, to lead this organization, my previous experience was as a consultant. For 22, 23 years, I've been working as a consultant in Latin America, in Europe. I worked in some of the big consulting companies. I founded my company from the scratch in 2002. And after 15 years, we had like 500 employees. So I was the head of the consulting area. And I had many interesting experiences, and there was one of them that I would like to share with you. One of our clients were a mining company, a big mining company in South America. And one day, the project was the implementation and operation of a PMO. So it means that we implemented the PMO, and we had a long-term contract where we had a team of 5 people, and they were responsible to operate the PMO. So the PMO was outsourced, right? Good. The leader of the PMO was my employee, but she was working at the client full-time, right? And responded directly to the executive of our client. One day, she called me and she said, Americo, I have a problem. And I said, okay, tell me, what is your problem? And she told me, the director is asking me for some specific information. I'm trying to generate this report. However, I can't do that because the department that should send me the information, they just don't do that, right? I'm insisting and they don't do that. And I said, okay, so have you tried to go there, physically speaking, right? And try to talk to them and try to take this information? And she said, yes, I did that. But when I did that, I realized that they don't send me the information because they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to prepare that piece of information. And I said, okay, all right. So another question, have you tried to prepare that for them? And she looked into my eyes and said, no, Americo, no. Why not? Because it's not part of the job description of a PMO. That's something interesting, right? Because what should be the job description of a PMO? I would say that it's providing anything related to project, program, portfolio management in a way that can be useful, valuable for your customer, right? Right. And to make it happen, you have to understand that each of your customers are different. It means that some of them will be babies in terms of maturity. Possibly they are, I don't know, a top director, but one of them is a top director at the company, but he is still a baby. And what does it mean? It means that the baby needs support. You have to feed the baby. Otherwise, the baby will die, right? So if you ask me, Americo, is it usual to do that? I'm going to say no, but that's what you need to do now. And why? Because your customer is a baby. And if you can do that now, in a few time, it will become a child, a teenager, and possibly an adult. And with this evolution, you will be able to ask more. You'll be able to give more autonomy. You'll be able to challenge your customers a little more because they will have a better understanding about what you are doing. Okay, Americo, but it's just a matter of doing what what they are not able to do now. No, it's about value. Let me tell you why. Remember perception of value? Okay. There are many PMOs that feel that they are doing a great job and people can't see the value of what they are doing. It's very frustrating, right? But look, many times it happens not because what you are doing is not valuable, but because the level of maturity of your customers. There is a model created by a guy. The name of the model is Johari window. It can be used in many different ways, but it could be used as a kind of wisdom evolution, stages, wisdom evolution stages. And there are 4 possibilities. The first one is they don't know that they don't know. And if you want to evolve, you should move to they know that they don't know. What I'm saying is, while your customer doesn't know that he or she doesn't know, he can't see the value of what you are doing. Let me give you an example. I have here in front of me a child and an adult, right? And I'm going to offer to them 2 options. The first option is the keys of a real Ferrari. The car, it's outside at the parking lot, a real Ferrari. Here are the keys, right? And the second option is a Ferrari, but it's a toy, a remote control toy, okay? If I ask the adult, which one do you want? The adult certainly will say, okay, give me the keys, right? But if I ask the child, let's suppose that she is a 2-year-old child, right? Possibly the child, I know they are very smart nowadays, but this one is ingenuous, right? And this child will say, I want a toy. And why? Because she can't see, she can't understand the value of a real Ferrari because of a lack of maturity. That's what we have to understand as PMO leaders. It's not about us. It's not about the best practices. It's not about the technical stuff. It's about what our customers need right now, what they will need in the future, and what they are able to absorb. Because if we push too much, they will see, instead of value, they will perceive what you are doing as bureaucracy, too much control, things that they can't understand. Not because they are dumb or because they don't need them, but because they can't see the real value because of a lack of maturity. They are babies. So that's why we need to understand who our customers are. And we have to deal with them, to face this challenge. Sometimes, depending on the customer, it should be an individual challenge. We have to know each of them. You know, that's something very, very, very important. So as you can see, flexibility is the key to success, right? Flexibility is the key to success. So it looks like the most successful PMOs, they are not concerned on being something. They are much open, they are really much more open to become what they need to be. They are shifting their focus from the technique to the people. They are understanding that project management is a specific role, but what we need at a PMO is people prepared to deal with customers, service providers. We are concerned about totally different kind of things, and of course, they are related to project managers, but we are not project managers. It's different. So this flexibility, this ability to adapt is something that will make you a partner, right? And that's what makes a big difference, because the PMO is always redesigning itself. Today, what makes sense today possibly will not make sense tomorrow. What is a great configuration for your company at this moment maybe will change. And why? Because your customers have changed. There are new executives or the same executives, but the strategy has changed, or it's the same strategy, but actually your customers are now more mature, and in this way they can see things, they can feel pains that they could feel in the past. They have different expectations, and you need to understand them and fulfill these expectations and heal their actual pains. That's the big point. So to close this, and I will open right for a great discussion about all these ideas. I'd love to know what you think about these ideas, but there are two things that I would like to tell you. The first one is an example that in many ways it illustrates what we said. I've already read in some books and articles, or I've heard about people talking, saying exactly that. That is, oh, my PMO failed because of a lack of sponsorship. You know, we lost sponsorship, or there was a lack of sponsorship, and because of this, my PMO failed. It means that the cause of your failure was a lack of sponsorship, right? But after this discussion, I think that maybe you can see that most of the times it's not the truth. And why? Because a lack of sponsorship is not the cause of your failure. Losing sponsorship is the consequence of your failure, is the symptom of your failure. Because how can you dare to deserve sponsorship if you can't generate perception of value for those that are paying the bill? Of course, you lose sponsorship over time. And the end is just shut down your PMO. So sponsorship should be deserved. And you can get it when you are delivering perception of value. That's the most important idea. So if there is something very strong that we saw in many of the PMOs that we observed in these last years, the most successful ones, are twofold. The first one is they are not afraid to change. They are not afraid to be flexible and to adapt to new things, you know, even when they don't think that they are really cool. For example, because of the pandemic, instead of a more strategic focus for the next 20 years, right, in the portfolio, we now have to be more operational because we have to ensure the delivery of our actual projects, current projects, on time and on budget. It's much more operational, right? But that's what is needed right now, and there is nothing wrong with that. I understand strategic aspects are much more cooler, but sometimes the needs will change, and it's okay. We have to adapt. There are many PMOs very successful, generating a lot of value, focused on tactical aspects, on operational aspects. There is nothing wrong with that. And if the needs are strategic, you can also do a great job, right? So there are many possibilities. So adaptability, flexibility are the keys, right? And that's it. That's what I would like to show you. And this way, I think we can have some ideas right now in the air. And I'd like to know about your thoughts. What do you think? How these things can make sense for you, right?
Awesome. Thank you, Americo. I've seen some great comments in the chats already. But I'm going to ask the people. I didn't pick up any questions, Andre. I don't know if you picked up any questions, but if there's any questions for Americo, please feel free to pop it in the chat, or you can just ask it upright. Maybe just a question from my side, Americo. I'd like to get your perspective on this. This has been very insightful for me. It's a completely different way, of looking at us as PMOs, the way we run our PMOs, the way we think about our PMOs and the services that we need to offer. So I think it was extremely valuable. One of the things that, a lot of our PMOs do struggle with is the role that the business also play within projects. As much as we think, it's only us that influence the success of a project, the business participation is also critical. And I'm going to give you an example. In IT PMOs, for example, there's a very big need of the business being involved, actively involved in a project, making sure that they give very clear, specific requirements of what they need. Obviously the expectation they have is, PMO, I need you to deliver a valuable solution to my problem by a certain point in time. It needs to be workable, it needs to meet my requirements, etc. So we're clear on that. But now you sit with the challenge that the business is not forthcoming with what they actually want from that solution, that system that you're trying to implement for them. And then at the end of the day, when you deliver the solution, it's, okay, great, you've delivered it on time, within budget, great stuff, but actually the system is not doing what I wanted to do. So I just wanted to get your perspective on, have you seen that in other organizations? Is there something that you can maybe share with us on how we can deal with that?
Yes, that's a good question. Everything that I told you, of course, it's in a general perspective, right? So each organization will have specific needs, and these needs can come from the business, can come from the executive level. So I've already seen some PMOs doing things, right, that, as I said, are not really usual. So things that are needed, but they are not usual. So what I'm going to tell you is there is no problem with that. So the point is, sometimes the PMO will be required to do some specific things, will be involved in the operation in a way that is very specific for that company, right? And is it possible? Of course, because that was needed, right? And you have to adapt, as I mentioned. However, there is a point that I would like to share with you that looks to me very, very important. A few months ago, I was talking with a PMO leader from a healthcare company, a big healthcare company, and it was really, really interesting because she was telling me about her work, and she was, how can I say, she was proud of the fact that the PMO was involved in the operation in a very, very strong way, but in a way that the PMO was taking responsibilities of other areas and doing that by itself. You know what I'm saying? And for the executive, it was something very comfortable because the executive really trusts in the PMO, because he called the PMO leader and say, hey, I have a problem, please, make it happen. And the PMO was able to do that. So the PMO was very important at that time for that executive. But in the medium long term, I was talking, I asked her about which culture would you like to develop into the organization? Because what they were doing with that is they were taking responsibilities for other areas, and the areas they were acting like that, okay, there is someone taking care of this. I don't need to be very concerned about that, because the accountability was lost, because now the PMO is responsible to solve the problems that should be solved by the areas. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big confusion in the medium and long term. And why? Because it's dangerous for the organization, because it's possible to find competent people that can make a great job at PMOs anywhere. However, when you start to enter too much in the operations, become really difficult to find people that are really able to deal with all those things. So that PMO leader, for her, it was great, right? She deserved a lot of money. But on the other side, if she decide to leave the company, it will be impossible to hire people to do that job, because that job was supposed to be done by the areas. And now it's centralized in the PMO. How can you hire a PMO leader, for example, that knows how to develop research for healthcare? You know what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be the role of a PMO, because it's not project management. So the point is, we have to be aware to not make a confusion between flexibility and support our customers. There is a confusion between doing that and start to be like an octopus, taking many things because people are not doing their job, and we start to do the job for them. Can we do that for a while because they are babies? Yes, but we should have a plan. We should create the culture that makes sense to our company. I think that's something that we should think about.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Americo. Any other questions?
Yeah, I can't see the chat.
Yeah, Dalian, there's many comments, people saying thought-provoking and thanks for the insights, but there doesn't seem to be any questions at this stage.
Perfect. Very good. So I suggest you for further studies, right? I would like to suggest something for you. The first one is, if you go to pmoga.org, you can join PMOGA, but you can also find at the menu, you can find awards. If you click awards, the new page, you go down, navigate to the end of the page, and you will find the PMO Global Awards knowledge base. It's for free. You can access this knowledge base, and you will find the videos with stories of all PMOs that participated at the PMO Global Awards in the last years. So you will find, for example, last year it was City of Cape Town. 2 years ago, it was ShopRite, right? So you from South Africa. So you have hundreds of videos, and that's exactly how we started our studies. We start to analyze all these videos and talk to the PMO leaders to get some conclusions, right? The second point is, some of these ideas that I shared with you today are part of a methodology that was developed by our community. 122 PMO leaders from our community. We developed a methodology named PMO Value Ring. This methodology today is widely adopted in many countries. And you can go to, yes, exactly. PMO value ring is that where you can find the web tool, because there is a web tool with a database where you can find the experience of our community. So remember when I said that we need to understand the pains? So this methodology will let you collect the real expectations of your stakeholders. And our database, we have correlation between these expectations and the functions that the PMO should provide. So if you collect the expectations, you can have a kind of recommendation of the most important functions that your PMO should provide, independently in which boxes they are, right? So you can take those functions that are really important for you. So I believe that it can help you in many different ways. So that's it. I believe those are very valuable resources that you can use. And if you need any kind of support, if you want to exchange some ideas, I will be available, and everyone in our community, we have great people, great PMO leaders that will be really happy to exchange experience with any of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Americo, for joining us today. I think I speak on behalf of everybody that joined the session in that we thoroughly enjoyed it. It was refreshing, and you also gave us a different perspective on many things. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. We know you've got a very busy schedule, and hopefully next time we talk to you, it will be locally based in South Africa, and you can see our great country for yourself.
Of course. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a great honor to be here with you. And now let's wait for the results of the our World Award, and let's see if Captech and Adrian can be the world winners, right?
Yeah, holding thumbs, fingers crossed. Yes. Most definitely.
Very good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
We'll talk soon. Travel safe. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.